Hi guys, welcome back to Style with Substance and welcome to today's video. So I'm kind of combining two videos in one because I feel like it's just the most effective way to get content out to you guys. So today is going to be a quick Zara haul and a Q&A. Fast forward if you want to get to the Q&A straight away, but if you want to see what I picked up from Zara, then just keep watching. So it's a mini haul, and the first item from it is this v-neck jumper. It's long sleeve and it's pretty cash. It's quite thin as well. The material is definitely the type of material you kind of have to be quite careful with. Like if it catches on anything, I feel like it could really damage the jumper itself. So very lightweight, very spring appropriate, and I feel like this style is something that I like to wear all year round, so I just tend to experiment with the type of fabric in terms of like the weight of it. So for spring, summer, I would wear something that's actually quite thin like this, and then in winter I would just make it sure it's like more thick and like wool type material. So that's the first item, which I got in a size small, and I will have linked it in the description box below along with everything else. Then some of the other bits I picked up, I'm unboxing some of this stuff for the first time. This is like a handmade woven beach bag, so it just kind of looks like that. It's a really nice pattern, I think, and it's got a button on the inside which should open a lot. There we go. So it just looks like that, and this was $25.99, but I think it makes quite a nice casual like shopping bag maybe, because it's got this sort of fabric kind of linen type lining within it. It just makes it a bit more durable. So you can do your weekly shop with this, or you can take it to the beach. The next item I accidentally got two of. It's this really light flowy taupe coloured dress. It is ribbed, and I love the sort of wide or the width of the ridges that are in this, and then it kind of goes a bit like horizontal down here. So this is the front and that's the back, so it's got a nice low back, and I picked this up in a size small and it was $39.99, so a little bit pricey actually for this type of material, but we'll see how it looks on. I love the colour, especially when my hair is like a lighter shade, and I think this is quite a nice spring piece. How would I wear this? Quite simply, to be honest, like leather jacket over the top and maybe some sandals. There was a top that I got in the last haul which was a salmon pink colour, and I went back for it in the black. So I also got the black in the size small, $17.99, and it's just this really cute kind of cropped style jumper, very scoop neck and very see-through. So if you're going to wear something like this, I would definitely recommend popping a cami in it if you don't like sort of showing skin, but this works quite nicely as a sort of night out wear. This would look really nice with like a leather skirt, so maybe I'll do that in the try on with you guys, just to see what it looks like on. And then last but not least is this really, I think quite understated but still quite simple, quite sexy black bodysuit. Just looks like that. It has like a see-through mesh here on the neckline, some nice skinny straps, and it's kind of like swimsuit material if I'm honest, but I just thought this one was quite sexy. So yeah, I really like the look of that, and it was, got it in a size small, and it was $15.99, so not a bad price actually, and it feels quite thick. It doesn't look too see-through, so yeah, very nice. So yesterday I also uploaded a skincare routine video, so do check that out. I talk all about how I look after my skin, which is oily / combination. So I get dry in certain areas and I'm very oily in most areas. I had a question on one of my videos, and I can't remember which one it was, around how I organise my handbags, because they're always quite big and I always carry a lot of stuff around. And I've always been somebody who's a fan of bag organisers, because they, one, keep the shape of your bag, and two, help you to organise things into different compartments, especially if the bag you have doesn't have those already. And this company called Zumoni reached out to me, and they basically said that they wanted to send me a bag organizer, and they basically do felt material bag organisers for like a lot of different bag types, but they have basically like a whole line that are designed and built custom to lots of well-known design handbags. So anything from Louis Vuitton to Chanel to Mulberry, they kind of have a bag organizer that fits that specific bag and the model. So I got one for the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. So I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Very, very organized, and they make it to the color of the interior of the bag, so it blends quite nicely. But I'll just take it out for you guys and just show you. That's what it looks like. It's kind of nice, like felt material. Oopsie daisy. And it's got lots and lots of pockets. So as you can see, I can fit like all my stuff in it and compartmentalize it quite nicely. So I will link to them down below, but I will also link to some similar ones that I found on Amazon, but that's how I organise my bag. Anyway, let's get into the Q&A. Someone asked, can you share experiences of racism within the workplace / home life and how you dealt with it? So I guess you mean racism within the workplace and my personal life. I'll be honest, if I have experienced any racism, it's not been in the workplace. I've been lucky enough to work in organisations where there is enough, well, there isn't always like enough like of a diverse workforce, but I think there is enough of an understanding around the backgrounds, the different backgrounds that people come from. I guess where I have experienced it is on occasion, walking home, well, not home actually, just in certain areas where I'm walking along the street and like somebody, I think on one occasion, somebody rolled down their window and started making monkey noises, which at the time was quite shocking, I won't lie. So how I dealt with, I think if it's not happened to you before, you always sort of anticipate what your reaction might be, and I think I was more scared by it, to be honest, than I was anything else. And not necessarily scared because I don't feel like, I don't feel safe in that area, but I just feel like if somebody has the capacity to do that, then to me that says a lot about where their head's at and what their mind frame is towards black people or people of any, you know, race that's different to theirs. And I just think if you're brave enough, or stupid enough I should say, to do that, then what else would you do? And I think that made me think, wow, times really haven't changed as far as some people are concerned. Some people are really stuck in a really old mentality. So it's kind of scared me, because I was sort of like, what if they sort of turned around and just, you know, came back and wanted to like do worse to sort of intimidate me. So that wasn't great. That was the understatement of the year. But I guess as far as the workplace, no, unless it's been veiled as something else, I couldn't outright pinpoint and say that is racism or racial discrimination. But maybe I'm just not as, I feel like there are some things that you come into your experience a bit more if you're very aware of them or if you're very sensitive to them. And I just think I always go into any workplace or any situation thinking, I'm going to get back from this what I put in. So I feel like if I work hard and if I show my capabilities and if I perform, then I just couldn't see a situation where somebody would, I guess, profile me racially or treat me in a different way because I'm black, because I know I work hard. So I don't even think about that. And maybe that's why I'm not so attuned to racism, because it's just, I just go into every situation assuming that nobody is racist, which of course is not 100% true. But I think if you go into it with that mind frame, then you're not focused on that. You're just more focused on your performance as an individual. So I guess for the workplace, that's sort of my attitude. In my personal life, I don't tolerate racism at all. How to deal with racist behaviour if it's targeted towards you? It really depends, because I think it can come in many different forms. But I always feel like don't fight fire with fire. I think if you lower yourself to somebody's level who is, and they're clearly someone who's not, who doesn't think in the right way, who is very backwards, and you know, who is holding on to a lot of hate in their heart, then that brings you down to their level. So whatever you do, I just feel like racism shouldn't be fought with more racism. And I do think a lot of us do discriminate in our day-to-day lives anyway, whether that's by race or gender or level of attractiveness. Like, we all have been discriminated against, and we all discriminate in some way. So none of us are perfect, and I don't think there are some levels of discrimination or some types of discrimination that aren't equal because of the cultural context and the background, but I don't think that we should all sit here and say that racists are the worst kind of people, because there's a lot worse going on out there in the world. But as a black woman, especially in the corporate world, I am very aware of the fact that there are a lot of odds stacked against me, whether that's because of my gender, because of my race, because of where I come from, because of, I don't know, because of, I guess, the kind of industry that I'm in. I'm very aware of the hurdles that I have to jump over, but my approach to life has always been, don't focus on the hurdles, focus on your strategy and how you're going to get over those, and how you're going to excel, and how you're going to basically outperform anybody. So that's my thoughts on that. That was a very long-winded answer, so I'm going to try and keep this short. A realistic work-life balance, question mark. How do you ensure a productive day or week with the distractions of social media, friends, etc.? So work-life balance is, I guess it's something that you have to enforce upon yourself. So obviously you go to work and that's generally non-negotiable, but I would always say make time for your life outside of work, scheduling things with people who you like spending time with outside of your work hours. And I always say use the week, to be honest, because if I left all my socialising to the weekend, I basically have no life, because what I want to do really on the weekends is lie in until as late as possible. So I try to squeeze in lots of after work stuff with friends, and then at least I know that if I'm booked in to go to the cinema with one of my girls, or I don't know, go for drinks with some friends, or catch up with some family on a Friday night, that I know that I have to leave work at a certain time. So it forces me to balance my time. It forces me to get my to-do list basically completed during the working day, so that I can enjoy spending time with the people that I want to, and so I'm not late, because I hate being late. I guess as far as having a productive day, a to-do list is like my number one weapon. I always find if I write some things down that I have to get done in a day, I will beat myself up if I don't check off everything. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and if I write something down with an intention to do it that day, and normally I write my to-do list the day before, and oftentimes I'll write my to-do list for the week and then split those tasks out across the 5 days. If there's something I don't check off, I really get annoyed at myself. So I am like gunning for crossing off everything on that list. And I tend to like to write my to-do list in my diary, because I found that when I had it on the notes app on my iPhone, I just wasn't always doing it. So I will basically write down, so this will be like things to achieve in April 2019. I'll have a whole list there, and then I will basically throughout the weeks just do like a daily to-do list, and always write your to-do list the day before you need to do it, because I just feel like if you're going into the day with a plan of attack, you're more likely to have a more productive day than if you're there at, like, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning thinking, what do I need to do today? You should be prepared, so that the minute you get to work or get to the office or get to wherever it is that you do your stuff, you can just go, you know, get your tea, get your coffee and just go. Social media is always a distraction. I don't, you know, for me it's a way of being sociable in a way, because what I spend a lot of my time on my phone doing is liking other people's content online, whether that's YouTube or Instagram, commenting or replying to comments. So for me, it's a form of networking, so I don't see it as a distraction. Yes, I get days where I'm just scrolling through Twitter and laughing at memes and, you know, funny funny things that people have retweeted, but that's a nice I don't think any of my feeds are distracting in any way. I go to Twitter for a laugh, to be honest, because I think people on there are so funny, or the people I follow anyway. And I go to Instagram for inspiration, like outfits, and yeah, just to kind of keep up with what people are doing in my space. And then, you know, YouTube is kind of where I get my inspiration, and I'm on here as a creator anyway. So for me, social media is never a distraction, but I always find that if I have a strict to-do list, I make less time for social media. So, yeah. Hi Nadreen, I would like to know... my name's Nadreen, by the way, for all of my new subscribers. I realise I need to continue to say that more. I would like to know how you save money, the things you cut out from your budget. How I save money, it's very straightforward. Whenever I get a payment, I just take a percentage of that off and put it into a savings account. It's no simpler than that. So that once that amount has come out, and that's the first amount to come out, once that amount has come out, anything else that comes out is bills, rent, and all my expenses, my living expenses. And then I know, and all of that I've timed, like I've set up all my direct debits to come out around like the beginning of the month, so that I know that, I guess, from like the 5th of the month onwards, everything else that's left in my account is mine to spend. And I try to siphon off enough of a savings amount to not allow myself a silly amount of, a silly amount to play with, basically. My thing has always been not to save more, it has always been to make more. So the percentage of money that I save will always be the same, regardless of what my income is, and that always encourages me to make more money, so that I can save more and also spend more. Self-employment, what's it really like? What advice do you have for others thinking about it? So the feeling of being your own boss is great. The way that I am self-employed is that I am a director. I have a limited company and I am the director of that limited company. So in essence, any money that I make stays in the business and I just pay myself a salary. Sounds more complicated than it is, but I promise you it's quite simple. Any services that I charge for, which is me as a marketing professional, like contracts that I do, I charge VAT, and at the end of the year I have to pay back for that, and then I have to make a payment for corporation tax, and I can only withdraw a certain amount of money as profits. So yeah, it's complicated. It is complicated, and if you're somebody who's not great with figures, I would recommend having an accountant. I do, and it just makes things a lot easier for me. I'm not going to sit here and say I understand everything that they say to me, but I just do what they tell me to do, and that seems to work. I do like the fact that I get to keep more of the money that I make. When I say keep, it stays in the business, but you make more money this way. It's a very tax efficient way to earn. What I don't like is the fact that when it comes to finance, like loans, mortgages, car loans or whatever, it's a lot harder to secure finance as someone who is self-employed or a contractor. So for example, you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, that I've been trying to get on the property ladder, and there just doesn't seem to be a way around being able to quickly get on the ladder, especially if you're new to contracting. A lot of lenders will require at least 3 years of company records, like your financial statements, to see that you are stable, that your income is stable, and that you're not going through periods of time where you're not making any money, and you don't have any money to sustain yourself. But I will say that is most high street lenders, so that's like those sort of mainstream lenders. I'm sure there are brokers who specialise in contract like for contractors, and for that, like you guys, I get a lot of questions around, can I recommend any? Just Google mortgage brokers for contractors, or mortgage brokers for the self-employed, or mortgages for the self-employed, and you'll find like loads of results on Google. But even with those, I've still found that there is a need for at least a year's worth of financial statements. And you guys know that I've only been doing this properly since September. So, yeah, it's been tough. So that, I guess that is the one thing that I would say makes it unideal. And also the fact that it's hard to budget. I find it quite hard to budget because there's different ways in which I draw out money from the business, and to me, I do miss the days of having, you know, a set salary that I get paid once a month that just comes into me nice and easy. All the tax deductions have been made, my pension's gone out, all of that stuff, and it's just easy. It's all done for you. So I do miss that, I will be honest. How do you maintain to complete a lot of things in a day? Again, I kind of covered that with the productivity question. Have a to-do list, basically. Have a to-do list and wake up earlier. You have so much more of the day to get stuff done, especially if you wake up really early. Like there was a time where I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had a good solid 3 hours to get stuff done before everybody else wakes up and starts demanding more of your time. And I feel like that morning period, like between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. are some of my most productive hours. So I'll get the most of my day done by then. One thing I admire about you is that you always seem so peaceful and at ease with yourself. It seems like you are truly slaying in your lane. How do you keep your peace? Thank you so much. When I am here filming, I'll be honest, I do feel very peaceful and very at ease. I feel like it's something I've become very accustomed to doing, because I feel like I can talk without being interrupted or without people necessarily listening so that they can then speak, or I just feel like it's very it's a great outlet for me. I'll just say that. Conversationally, I enjoy this way of talking, and because I get the feedback after I've made my point, if you know what I mean. So that puts me at ease, that puts me at peace. I just feel like I can express myself here. But don't get me wrong, I do love conversation with people, because I think that's where you really, really learn great conversational skills. Generally, I think if I'm in my own space, if I'm doing something that I love, and if I am, I guess, getting away from the world for a bit, then that puts me at peace. That's why you guys tend to probably see me come across so quite carefree, quite laid back on camera, hopefully. Yeah, I feel like this is something that I enjoy. Someone says, how to grow financially and be successful as a Black African woman in the UK? What are the struggles? How did you overcome them? Have you ever felt like people undermine you? How do you deal with that? Too many questions. Maybe you'll need a whole separate video on that topic. No, to be honest, great questions. The answer is very simple. I don't focus on what society perceives my position in this world to be, because if I did, I would always come from a place of lack. When it comes to just my life and my personal development, you know, I read more. I want to learn about other people's stories. I want to learn about how to change. You know, yeah, I read more. I try to do more, and I also give more. Like I try to give my time to people. I try to give financially where I can. And funny enough, I was literally just watching a sermon online on YouTube from on the Transformation Church YouTube channel, and it was all about basically you know, the giving mentality, and how I think a lot of people always think about giving in a financial sense, but I feel like you're always rewarded when you give from your heart. So whatever that is that's in your heart that you want to give will come back to you, and a lot of the time tenfold. So whether that is giving your time or giving your emotions or your affections. Just giving always brings more to you. Have I ever felt like people undermine me? Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, if people will undermine you, people will disrespect you, people will anger you, people will try to push your buttons, people will do a lot of things, and that's never a reflection of you or your abilities or your character, who you are, and that's just a reflection of their perception of you. And if they are perceiving you in a certain way and that makes them feel like they need to undermine you, then their issue is not yours. That's not your problem. All you need to focus on is, what am I doing to be the better person in this situation? How do you cope with internal and external pressures to have marriage and kids? To be honest, external pressures are irrelevant. And I say that, and I hope I always remember that, because sometimes I don't. Internal pressures to have kids, I kind of to and fro on kids, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, there are some times where I feel like, oh my goodness me, I'd love to be a mother. And then there are some times I feel like, oh my goodness, I love my lions. And I love being selfish, and I love just being able to get up and go somewhere without really having to think about anybody else. And so I do feel like as time goes on and as I tick off all of the things on my life checklist, places I want to travel to, things I want to acquire, property, luxury handbags, and experiences, then I feel like, okay, I've done all the things that I've wanted to do for myself, and now I am ready to give the rest of my life to another human being. And I feel like the pressure with me rises as I see myself becoming more successful or succeeding in the things that I set out to do, and my to-do list starts to shrink, and I start to see that I'm not really working towards that many things anymore, and then I feel like, okay, well, what's my life purpose going to be after that? So yeah, but then being a lifelong learner and being somebody who's always wanting to discover new things or change things up means that I can always think of something to busy my time with outside of having kids. So the external pressure doesn't matter to me, because nobody can force me to have a kid. Like, I don't look at society and think, oh, I should have a kid by now because this is the age that everyone says I should have one. Irrelevant, because first of all, is my mental capacity there for being a mother? Am I financially stable enough to be a mother? And I get it, you're never always ready for a kid financially. I'm sure people who have kids will say that, but at a basic level, like things like, do I have maternity pay sorted? Am I in a stable job, or do I have a stable income coming in? Kids are expensive, so people can pressure you all they want, but if they're not going to, fund those children, it's irrelevant, isn't it? Marriage, yeah. I mean, I was talking to a good friend of mine about marriage the other day, and I was like, why marriage for you? And I think the family unit, what I got from that conversation was great, because it emphasised the importance of the family unit in society. I think when we are living our lives and when we're put on this earth and we're in this world and we're going through our day-to-day struggles, being part of a collective with whom you share the same blood, or with whom you are bound by law or by your faith, whatever that is, there's something that it does to you as a person, and there's a level of comfort and there's a level of security and stability that it gives you to be able to operate from a really healthy space, both emotionally and mentally, but on the caveat that the family unit is emotionally healthy and stable. So there's something quite beautiful about having a family And I think that should be why people get married, because they want to become a family. And that doesn't always mean having kids. I think it just means becoming a unit and being supportive for one another, and sharing a name and sharing a legacy and sharing just your life experiences with each other. And I think that is one of the beauties of marriage. But I think it's become so much else, and it's become very focused on the wedding and the first few years and getting the name and getting the ring, because these are the shiny things that stick out to us and that make us all go a bit crazy, that we forget why marriage in the first place. And we also forget the things that we have to sacrifice because to make marriages work. And therefore I've struggled with marriage because I'm still trying to create a healthy and emotionally stable environment within myself. Like, I'm still trying to figure out me and then understand who I want to share that with, because I don't feel like I can make an educated decision about who to marry until I know who I want to be and who I'm going to be, and also who that person wants to be and who they're going to be. And that's why I struggle, because I think, well, I'm going to commit myself to somebody and call them my family and bind my life with theirs, but I don't necessarily know where their head's going to be at in 5-10 years time. Are they going to completely have a change or a turnaround and think, oh, maybe I wanted to live in said place and now I want to live in X place? Like, and am I going to love them enough, and am I going to see my life as so bonded to theirs that I just have to be where they are? I don't know, maybe I've not met the right person for that, or maybe I've not internally done the work that I need to do to be in that headspace. But yeah, no one should pressure you into marriage, because it's no small deal. It's a huge deal. And I'm the kind of person that only wants to do it once. Like, I feel like if I got married and then got divorced, I would never get married again. And that's how I feel. Maybe I would, I don't know, because some marriages don't work out, and people are here on this earth for different periods of time. Maybe your other half passes away, or something, some extenuating circumstances occur. But I really do feel like I only want to get married once, if I get married at all. I would say that with pressures, internal and external, to do things, you can't pay attention to them. You can't give them your energy, because ultimately the pressure will always end up on you if you make the wrong decision, or if you rush into something that you're not ready for. And marriage isn't for everybody. Uni isn't for everybody. There are a lot of things that aren't for everybody. But we will do things blindly because we feel like that there's a path that we all must follow. Marriage isn't in everybody's path. And I really, really want everybody, particularly young black women who've grown up in African households, to understand that that is not the only thing that you have been put on this earth to do, to marry somebody. I'm not saying that it's an institution that I don't believe in. I think it's great for society, yeah, and I feel like society will always pressure you to get married, because people who are married and people who have kids and families are a bit less, random. They don't like just go off and get up and leave jobs, or cause havoc and chaos, or randomly decide to start businesses of their own, or like. Married people and people with families are generally more stable, and society needs stability, and that's why marriage works, and that's why it's a great institution. But I feel like marriage has to mean something to you, and having kids has to mean something to you for you to be even remotely pressured into doing it. These are great things to do, and these are really things that will build you and stretch you. It stretch your emotional capacity to love and to be selfless. So I think these are great things, but be ready for them. Do everything you want to do for yourself before you start considering those two things. I've babbled on for way too long, so I'm going to leave this here. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to the end of this video, happy Sunday. I'm gonna edit this and upload it all in the same day, which is mad. I'll see you guys next week Saturday. Do subscribe and click the bell or ring the bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And do come follow me on Instagram. It's at SWSblog for outfit of the day pictures. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you guys next week.